Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the second rendition of DFS hockey from the car. Last night, we were good enough to cash. We looked so good at the beginning when Columbus, Toronto were just popping off, but no goals in the second period, and a late Columbus win. I don't know if it was overtime or a penalty shot. Nyquist buries one, and that pretty much dashed our hopes and dreams. Really hoping Marner had a bigger game, but it is what it is. Moving on to tonight. There's a big slate. It's like 9-10 games. I'm going to give you 3 teams to target off the bat right now, and then I'll break it down further when I actually have some time to sit down and do some research, and I'll post about that on our blog at Fantasy Sports Group. So, Toronto plays again. So they're on a back-to-back. They're traveling to Boston. I know it's not all that far, but they just played last night. They lost in Ohio. And Toronto's just an awful defensive team. They're absolutely terrible. And the good thing about the Bruins is you know where all their scoring is going to come from. David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, who's out hurt right now, so you could slide in whoever is filling in for him. Or if you need value, you can go with Charlie Coyle, who looked really good at the beginning of the year and hasn't really been that great ever since. Sliding in Bruins defenseman is a little difficult. I mean, Torrey Krug is the best puck-moving defenseman they have, but he's really expensive, and he hasn't really been doing all that great in daily fantasy-wise. He's looked good on the ice, but there's 2 totally different things going on there. So when it comes to picking the right defenseman, you just kind of plug someone in who gets the most minutes, and right now that's McAvoy. I mean, you could say Chara, but Chara's a little bit on the older side, doesn't score all that much. But it's just kind of a little bit irrelevant for DFS purposes. Next, I want to target the Florida Panthers at home. The Florida Panthers are they're a team with like ADD, right? They are either the best team in hockey or they're absolutely terrible. I like their second line the most, but generally when you're playing home teams, you want to look at the first and the third lines. So that opens up Frank Vetrano for a super salary saver. And then if we look at their power play 1, you could take Huberdeau, Dadonov, Barkov, and kind of pair him with one of the defensemen. Keith Yandel's been the guy to go to this year so far. He's been absolutely fire on the power play, so he's playing the majority of the minutes, or he's starting on the power play. I wouldn't say he's playing the majority of minutes, but Aaron Ekblad's due to have a game, and that's just kind of how it goes. Next up, we have game stack potential. We have San Jose and Buffalo again, and these 2 teams just played each other, except they played each other across the country. Now San Jose comes to Buffalo, and they're going to play again. I still like Evander Kane. He didn't show up last game. I mean, Buffalo is his old team that he got traded away from. If you like narratives, that's the way to go. The majority of my thinking is going to be going back to the rookie Olofsson and Jack Eichel. I mean, Jeff Skinner shoots the puck a lot, which means he's a pretty good play because shot volume, but he's really up and down. I mean, just Skinner seems like a streaky kind of player to me. I'm not actually sure if he's streaky. It just seems that way. He could be pretty consistent, but I'm not the biggest Sabres. I'm not the biggest Sabres fan. I'm a Bruins fan. That's how I know that all their scoring always comes from the top line. It's been that way for like 3 years now. So yeah, I'm looking to stack Sabres. I like Rasmus Dahlin as my defense there. I think we go Olofsson, Reinhart, Eichel is probably our best combination. They are at home, so they should win. Now, a different game that kind of scares me a little bit, because Winnipeg and Edmonton are 2 of not the best defensive teams on the planet, and they just had the first dual shutout of the season. That means it went to a shootout. Nobody won in overtime or in regulation. Edmonton has a couple of the best players in the world on their team right now, and I say a couple because James Neal looks like the second coming of Connor McDavid. I don't know what the heck's going on, but he looks great this year. Why this is concerning? Well, Winnipeg plays LA at home, and LA has looked like 2 completely different teams. They are either trash bags or they are amazing. Same with Winnipeg. Winnipeg is either trash bags or they're putting up 7 goals. So I guess the way to look at this is to take the Winnipeg power play and hope that they hit. So that's like Scheifele, Wheeler, I believe Ehlers is on the power play too, and he is super, super cheap. My favorite defenseman to play every single night he's on the slate is Nhl Dfs. The dude is legendary. He always does something. It doesn't matter if he's blocking shots, shooting the puck, or getting points. The guy's 3-something on Fanduel, and he's been that way since he played for New York last year. He's great. I love playing him, and he's cheap, and he opens up a whole bunch of different salary for you. So that's my first initial teams to target. I'll get into a Vegas look, see who the over-unders are, team implied totals, and go from there. It depends on what site you're playing. I've been trying a couple different strategies. I've been trying, you really want all the points when a line scores, right? So it's called a line stack. Been doing that a lot, but this new site, Superdraft, gives you a multiplier, and I'm not sure assists are enough points to warrant you playing an entire line when you could get exposure to other power plays. So just trying to figure that out. I took the L on Superdraft last night. They pretty much only have GPP plays or GPP tournaments, so you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. It's a learning curve. We're figuring it out. So I'll be back on my blog later on today with an in-depth breakdown of the slate, but those are my 4 teams that I want to attack. Go with Boston 1, you go with Toronto 2, Toronto 1, a combination of the power play. Morgan Riley is my go-to defender on Toronto. And then we're going to go right to Florida, Florida 1 or 2. Vinny Trocheck plays on the power play 1, so if you really don't want to play Florida 1, I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, they've been a letdown sometimes, but they're generally pretty solid. You could play Vinny Vetrano, Keith Yandel, Vinny Vetrano, yeah, good one, Cody. Vinny Trocheck, Frank Vetrano, and Keith Yandel, and kind of get a contrarian type look that way. They won't carry much ownership. And Frank Vetrano, when he's on the ice, shoots. He was a Bruin for a while, and he shot a lot of pucks. Offensively from LA, I don't play anybody ever. It's just a thing. They're like one of those teams that I just don't trust. And I want Winnipeg to be good, but they scare me. I think they're going to scare a lot of people. Again, different team at home than they are on the road, but you just never know. So those are my first 4 targets, and yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks for stopping by.